Today we are going to learn globalization. So let's start. Today we will discuss the definition, origin, characteristics, features, concept, types, negative and positive impacts. So let's start from the definition. Globalization. Globalization is a process of interaction and integrations among the people, companies and governments of different nations as a process driven by the international trade and investment and aided by the information technology. This process has effects on the environment, on culture and political systems, on economic development and prosperities, and on the human physical well-being in the societies around the world. So it means that it is a process that interconnect and integrate the peoples, not only the people, cultures or companies, but also the nations, their economic, their social needs, and this process is simply known as the globalization. So let's start how this process it got origin. The origin of the globalization can be looked after the end of the Cold War, when nationalism re-emerged as a challenge to the world order. Many countries have been disintegrated as a result of the ethnic and religious conflicts, which has been interpreted as a clash of different types of nationalism. It means that the globalization it has been originated after the end of the Cold War and between the 1960s and the 1970s. And if you look back after the Cold War, it ended in the years of the 1990s. The former Soviet Union and Yugoslavia are such examples. Even the situations the Balkan is often looked upon as example of the nations. So let's discuss the characteristics of the globalization. It is basically a mindset. We can see as another economic theory to enhance the business and trade. A mindset that is broader and open to receive all the ideas that takes the whole globe as an area of operation. Globalization means interdependence. We have all gone reading history whether the company it is totally independent or a slave country. But with the advent of the globalization, no country it is totally independent because one country or one state it is dependent on other state for its economic development, for its social exchange and for its trade and for its commerce. It means that no country in this world is totally independent. This new phenomena it has been emerged with the advent of the globalization, that is interdependence. Globalization means caring and sharing. The world it is more united and concerned about the common problems being faced by the people, whether it's global warming, it's terrorism or malnutrition, natural disasters, fears or atrocities encountered by any part of the world. They attract the immediate attention all over the world. Globalization puts the technology in the service of the mankind. The world would not have been shrunk into the small global village without the support of the technological innovation. So, the globalization is the phenomena that is connected with the technology like the computers, internet, telecommunication, e-commerce. Thus, the technology it has proven to be the major source of the concept of globalization and for bringing the people more closer. So, we have discussed the different characteristics, and one of the most important is that it has increased in tourism, growing importance of MNC, increase the foreign investment, increase the movement of labor, increase the movement of capital. Globalization is something that is inevitable and irreversible. There has been an attempt by the fundamentalists and they have put their efforts to stop the process of globalization. But one said rightly that you can't stop the advent of an ideas whose time has come. So globalization is such an idea. There are some key features of globalization. All the societies they are more connected on the world globalization map. International economic integration, transnational media system creating a global culture, global tourism, media imperialism, and the transnational corporations that drive a global economy. There are several dimensions that are connected with the globalization. Increase in active social, economic, and the cultural linkages among the people. Globalization has social, economic, political, cultural, and technological dimensions. It involves all around interlinkages among all over the world of people. Free flow of knowledge, technological goods, services, and people all across the world. It attempts to make the geographical borders soft, permitting all the people to develop their relations. It means that globalization has interconnected not only the nations, states, their governments, their finance, but also it promoted the cultural diversity and it created the link among the peoples of the different nations. And it promotes the free world, free trade, freedom of access to world markets, and the free flow of investments across the borders. It stands for the integrations and democratizations of the world's culture, economy, and the infrastructure through the global investment. What is the concept of the globalization in the international relations? Yet it has challenged the study of the international relations from each and every aspect of the international theory. It has undermined even everything the philosophers have contributed to the theory of international relations. According to the theory of international relations, this is that the global community consists of many actors, many states, and few actors. But according to the globalization, that the world community, global community, it feels more like one state and many actors. These two controversial theories can be argued because many see the globalization as a myth. The shifting of the states from international relations was not anything planned, but the world just began to come together in the terms of trade, communications, ideas, and other areas. The international theory separates the actors by the realist, liberalist, and actors. But the globalization, it has connected the global world in such a way that it acts as a one states and a many actors, and it has created the linkage among the nations. Types of globalization: economic, social, political, and so let's discuss the political globalization. Political globalization refers to the amount of the political cooperations that exist between the different countries. These ties, thus we believe that it acts as umbrella global organizations are a better place than the individual states to prevent conflict. Just after the First World War, the League of Nations it was created, and since then the global organizations they have been created, such as the World Trade Organization, United Nations, and other regional countries are attempting to adopt similar political policies and styles of government in order to facilitate the other forms of development and other forms of relations. Social globalization. Social globalization refers to the sharing of ideas, informations between and through the different nations. In today's world, the internet and social media, it is at the heart of this. Good examples it includes the internationally popular films, books, and TV series like the Harry Potter and Twilight films and books. They have been successful all over the world, making the character feature the globally recognizable. Economic globalization. It refers to the interconnectedness of the economic through the trade and the exchange of resources. As we have already discussed that the globalization is phenomena that is not only connected with the people, with the culture, with the government, but it has a great influence on the economic globalization. For example, the developed states they will sell their technologies to the countries which are lacking the technological advancement and developments. And in exchange of this, they prefer to uh, they prefer to buy the natural resources from the developing countries, and they have to sell to the developed countries taking them. A worldwide economic systems that permit easy movement of goods, production, capital, and resources. It's a free trade. For example, the multinational culture globalization. By the word culture, we simply come to that's one of the most important culture is your food. Food is one of the most obvious example of cultural globalization. Food consumption is an important aspect of culture in most societies around the world. They have a diets that are unique to them. Despite of these, global food corporations are ultimately led to the decline of local foods. For example, nowadays the fast food is very popular among the world, like the pizzas, burgers, these things that are replacing the local culture. Next is the financial globalization. For example, the advancement in the telecommunications are expanding the foreign markets without having the physical branches there. Social universalizations of banking, growing competitions in financial markets, and increasing the irrelevance of national borders, and increasing the complex relationships among the states. Interconnection of the world, financial systems, stock markets, and more of the connection between the large cities and of nations. There is some positive and the negative impacts too of globalization. So let's discuss impact of the globalization, the cultural impact of globalization, the emergence of the Western world, something that we saw with the growth of the globalization. Social impacts, political impacts of the globalization. One of the most important major impact of political globalization, it reduced the importance of the nation states. Many have organized themselves into the trade. Globalizations, there are some negative impacts too. It operates mostly in the interest of the richest country, which continue to dominate the world trade at the expense of the developing states. At the expense of the strictly enforced international laws, means the transnational corporations may operate that in the lower economically developed countries in a way that would not be allowed in the more economically developed states that are more economically developed. They may pollute the environment, they risk the safety of the developing states, and impose the poor working conditions and low wages on the local workers. Globalization is viewed as many as a threat to the world's cultural diversity, and it is feared it might drown out the local economies, trades, traditions, and culture. Local cultures are also being affected by the globalization. Thanks a lot. If you have any questions, please comment below. So we can sum up with this that the globalization is such a phenomenon that in this world the survival of the states is not possible. If they accept it, if they do efforts to carry on and to maintain balance between the states, between the different nations, then it will be very helpful for them to develop in this globalized world.